Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to implement Steamworks API with the new MLAPI, or as Unity calls it, Netcode GameObjects. Let's get started. So I created this GitHub page where basically the source code is going to be up and some links, helpful links, is going to be in this sort of page which you can look at. So first of all, if you don't have Unity, then install Unity obviously. If you don't have Facepunch, here's a link and here's a wiki page if you want to have look for yourself. So we can press this link to the Facepunch transport for the netcode for GameObjects. If we click to this, this will bring us to Facepunch. So you might wondering what the difference between Steamworks.net and Facepunch. If we open Facepunch wiki, it's practically the same, but the main difference is written here. Basically, Steamworks.net is just a lazy version of converting from C++ code into C# code. Now, Facepunch does this much better because it's more written in C# code rather than translating. So, for example, callbacks is much friendlier than the Steamworks.net. For example, if you want to create a callback in Steamworks.net, you have to do this. You have to create a callback, I guess, variable, then have the actual structure inside of it, and then create basically a callback for that variable. A little bit weird syntax, but whatever. In Facepunch, this is much easier, where it's basically just an event handler, as simple as that. So if you want to have more clear answer or documentation, or like just C# code, then highly recommend Facepunch rather than Steamworks.net. However, it might be much easier because Steamworks.net is more readable when you're reading to the Steamworks API stuff, so note that. Anyway, if you want to install everything, then you can go to this first link, which is basically MLAPI's contribution. So basically you have WebSocket, Facepunch, Steam networking. So you can click over here, or you can actually just go to this link, which is the same basically link, and you can download this GitHub. You can either clone it or use a command together. I will link the command in the YouTube description if you want to have that information. Anyway, let's get on with the code, shall we? So in Unity, you're gonna have a scene. In the scene, you're gonna create a new object. Let's call this network manager. We can have reset the transform as usually. We can have space in the name. It doesn't really matter. Inside of here, we're gonna add a script, network manager. Now over here, you can check the documentation if you want to, but we're gonna select a transport. Now, if you haven't installed Facepunch correctly, you're gonna see the option here. If you don't, then you have UNet, which is the default. And the problem is it's a little bit weird to invite people if you don't want to use Unity relay services, which is a little bit more complicated. So if you want to use Steam, then use Steam. Highly recommend it. So instead of the UNet, I'm gonna use Steam or Facepunch in this case. So I click Facepunch and it creates a Facepunch. You might wonder what Steam app ID is. It's basically controlling the ID of your game. Now if you have at 480, which is now in default, it's basically gonna link to a template game in the Steam sort of community. Now if you want to have a link to your game, or like Cyberpunk or maybe GTA, then you will change this. So this is only for test purposes, so you don't want to have it 480. Now the Steam app ID will create from uploading your game onto Steam. So this is nothing you're gonna do sort of create your own ID, but more like it just copy the ID from the cloud or like the sort of the page basically. Anyway, we got everything we needed. Now we're just creating the code. So we're gonna create a new script, call this Game Network Manager. You can call it whatever you want. I decided by this name. We're gonna create the script. Once we created the script, we're gonna open up in Visual Studio, so like so. And we're gonna actually remove everything except using Unity engine and the class. So we're gonna use a singleton pattern. If you don't know it, I'm gonna have a link down below. So we're gonna create a public zoom in. There we go. So we're gonna create a public game network manager. And I already have this as a AI train model, so I can just press tab, and there we go. So this is a property because we're using get and private set. We're actually gonna rename this to instance, and we're gonna set the default value to null, and also we're gonna make this static. So we're gonna create a method. We're gonna call this private void awake. So this is the awake method. This is initialized whenever the editor is or the application is been started for the first time. So we're gonna do if instance equals to null. If it is, then we're gonna set the instance to this. If it's not null, then we're gonna do destroy. I'm gonna do a game object, then return. Then last in here we're gonna do don't destroy game object. Save the code. Now let's actually make Steamworks API and other stuff into this script. So first of all, we wanna have a reference to the transport, and I like to do over here. So private is Facepunch transport. Then we're gonna import the library, so using netcode transport.facepunch, and we're gonna call this transport, and we can set this to null. Why not? We're gonna create a new method called void start. In here we're gonna get the reference, so I can simply do get component and a Facepunch transport. Now we have the reference. Now we can actually use that reference. So I'm gonna create some callbacks to the Steamworks API. So we're gonna do Steam match making, like so. Import the library. We're also gonna import steamworks.data. So just add that. And over here we're gonna do on lobby created. Then we're gonna simply just do that and press tab to create that. I'm gonna simply remove Steam making and then underscore to simplify the naming. I'm gonna create another callback over here on lobby enter, and does the same with the tab, like so, and remove the name. Then we're gonna create another, which is Steamworks. Let's actually just do this. I think it's 6 times. So here we go. And over here we're gonna do on lobby member. Here we have some different options to choose, but I'm gonna use join, on lobby leave, and lobby invite, and game lobby created. So I'm just gonna remove this and create the callbacks and rename everything. And there we go. There we go. Now obviously you can add your own callbacks, you don't have to use all of these callbacks. Some of these are important, which I'm gonna show later, but you can use whatever callbacks you want if you want to use them in a certain way. So now we have created all the callbacks. What we actually gonna do is remove the callbacks as soon as we don't use them anymore. So this is for having no memory leak in your game. So on destroy, we can basically just paste everything that we copy from this and just change this from plus to minus. This will basically remove everything that is a callback to this. So one thing I forgot to add is Steam Friends on game lobby join request this. And this is when we join, when we have accepted to join in a certain lobby. This will basically have a callback to basically join in Unity rather than just joining in Steamworks lobby basically. So we're also gonna use that, and also we can rename this to be more simplified. And don't forget to remove the callback as well. And there we go, we got everything that we needed. Now I just wanna have this more simplified and more structured. So I'm gonna select everything, hold down Control S, Control and S, Control S. Then we're gonna select a region. So this surrounds everything with certain stuff. So you can do namespace and short, whatever you want. I'm gonna choose a region, and I'm gonna call this callbacks, or let's do Steam callbacks, just to fit the better naming. Now obviously I'm gonna change the variable's name, so it's not argument 1, it's more like lobby and ID. And there we go. I'm also gonna remove everything that's from a exception. And there we go. So now that we got everything working with the callbacks, let's actually implement Unity's callbacks for the network stuff. So over here we're gonna create a new method. So public void start host, like so. And we're gonna do network manager, and we need to import the library singleton start host. Now this will return a boolean, so we can do if and do something like print a stuff. So host worked. So this is basically returning if it worked or it didn't. So this is a great way to sort of test and see if it worked or not. But for now we don't care about the actual value, so we're gonna just do that. Now over here we're gonna create some assignments to the callbacks. So it's network.singleton.onClient connected, and these callbacks we basically gonna implement that. So we can write like so, remove the name, and we can actually just do this. Change this name to on client disconnect and on server starter. So now we have the callbacks. We also want to remove the callbacks. So let's actually remove this over here. So simply like this. Now you might get a new reference, and this is because a network managers.singleton is getting destroyed before this is called. So you can either choose another method to store this, maybe like void application quit on application quit. This will call before this is called, so maybe there. But for now we can just simply use checking if network.manager.singleton is null. If it is, then we can just return and exit our code, or our method rather. And now I also want to create some structure over here. So I'm gonna simply surround this with the region and call this Unity callbacks, or maybe like network callbacks. Also remove the throw exception. Change the object to client ID. And I like to change the order as well to be more structural. And there we go. We have now some callbacks and pretty much everything is set up. Now let's actually code the actual logic that's gonna handle. So what we can do over here is actually create the lobby. So let's actually do Steam matchmaking. Create a lobby, async, and here we can select a member, how many max member we can have. So let's do max members. Let's set this. What is the value? 100. So let's do that as well. So like so. Now this is async, so we can actually await this. Now to do this, we need to have the async keyboard over here, and this basically will do this asynchrony with everything. Now over here we can do another method called public void disconnect, like so. Now we can do if network manager dot singleton is null, then return it. And we can do network.manager.singleton.shutdown. Now one problem we have with this is we are still in the lobby even though we are disconnected. So to do this, we actually need to store the value, and this return a nullable lobby. So what we're gonna do is do I like to do a property of this. So current lobby, do get private and get and a private set. Then we can do new. Now this is a structure, sorry. So this is it can't be null. So to do this null, we can do a nullable, which is basically have a question mark at the end. So over here we can actually assign this value, and over here we can actually do current lobby, and we can go inside. Now we can do get value and leave over here. Now this will not null check, so what we could do is do current lobby has value, like so. But in much simpler way is just to do question mark and do leave, and this will basically null check this before continuing with the method, which is pretty handy if you ever wanted something like this. Now I also want to do a private void on application quit, because we actually want to disconnect when we quit application. We can't disconnect on destroy because lobby is getting destroyed and everything will not work. So you want to do this over here. Now I don't like having a method like this, so what you could do is go inside of here and use express body for method, and this will just simplify the methods. Now we can also create a new method, public void start client, like so. Actually, one thing I also noticed doing this code right now is that we're actually assigning on client connected and disconnected in the host. You could do that if you want to host to basically have a callback, but because we are the host and we don't want to have a callback, we can simply do this instead. Just cut everything that was over here and paste it over here instead. And over here we can do if network manager, and this is only for the test purposes. Singleton start client. This will do a boolean which we can test if it worked. Now you could do simply like this. Now to actually test in when you have a debug build, you can simply use like this instead. So client has joined, and I like to do this in the context where we are referencing this. Now before we call start client, we actually need to know how to join. So in the transporter, one thing it has is it has a Steam app ID, but one thing we actually want to have is if I can find it, is this target Steam ID. So this is basically what we need to join actual game. So to do this, we can do simply transport, and over here we can check for only fields, and we get this field. Now, how do we get Steam ID? Well, simply just do Steam ID, and basically set it to that. Simple and easy. So we can go inside Steam callbacks, and we can actually do over here, and I'm just gonna use a lambda expression, or is it called body expression actually. So we can do debug.log. You got an invite from, then do a string interpolation like so, and do friend.name, or you can simply do friend.name and reference where we printed this from, like so. Now this callback will call only when you get an invite, so this will not call if you accepted the invite. We have another callback for that, which is on lobby game, which is on game lobby join requested. A little bit weird naming. I thought you should said on join lobby, or sorry, you should say it on lobby invited join, or on lobby invited accept, but this is the name. So over here we accepted to join the lobby. Now over here we can do start client, because we want to start the client. Now the problem is we need an ID. Now you might think to do lobby.user, sorry, not user owner.id, but it's not the friend's ID you want, it's the actual ID. So you can use ID, or do lobby.id. In this case you want the ID of the lobby, not the friend's ID, which I thought so long now, but I realized that now. So you can do this, and you can actually print everything if you want to, but I'm simply gonna use this, and we can simply use express body for this as well. Everything else can be cut. We don't actually need everything, so this is just for in your purpose or something, extend everything if you want to. We actually gonna have on lobby created, not this one. So these are the callbacks we need so far. So we're here on lobby enter. We can do start client, lobby.id over here, and we can also do if network manager singleton is host. We actually want to return, because I had a callback before saying that we have enter and we started client as well, which we couldn't because we was a host. Because I've removed the callbacks from the host into the start client, this longer will trigger now, but it's still good to have this if statement to make sure that you don't enter as a host into a client, so to speak. The last callback is on lobby created. So here we can set up the lobby, so let's do that. So we can do result is not equal, okay, and here we can simply do some debug logging. So debug log error, lobby couldn't be created, and then we can do result. So we're gonna do string interpolation over here as well, so result, and this. Over here we want to actually set the lobby, so the lobby's information, so we can do lobby. And over here we have a weird syntax, or not a weird syntax, but weird way of doing. So rather than choosing an enum to do something like a public or private or friends only, we have different methods for that. So we have set friends only, and we have set public or private. So this is to use that. Now I'm gonna have set friends only because of testing purposes. You can also control this some other way, but this is the way I control it from this callback. Then we can do lobby.set data, and over here we can set some data of the game. So for example name, and we can do the lobby name, so cool lobby. You don't need this. This is just to, if you want to have some parameters, or not parameters, but data, metadata in your lobby. The actual thing you need maybe is to do set joinable, which basically means that you can join the lobby from sort of a join the lobby rather than being invited to the lobby. And there we go. We can also create a log over here saying a lobby has been created and do this. And that's all the callbacks from this theme. Let's move over to network callbacks. On the server started, we can actually just print out server has started and do this as well. On a client connected, we can just do a log as well. So string interpolation. So I'm client connected. And we can actually do client ID and do like so, client ID, and there we go. Now over here we can also copy this log and change to disconnected, and there we go. We also want to remove the callbacks from over here, so we don't waste everything. So we can actually go over here to this and copy this, and simply just remove everything over here. And there we go. We got everything working. So I think everything should be working. Now you can obviously extend everything to have more stuff, more callbacks, more option to choose, more API calls if you want to. But this is basically how everything works. Now I'm gonna show some result or some showcase of how everything is working for me. This was a little bit complicated because it's not very explained, and sort of documentation is not very the best. So for example, I think if I do over here on lobby, we can actually do a question mark and we can do set data. Over here it says get data, so we can actually open this up and read over here. So it says summary get data associated with this lobby, but this method is set data. So the documentation isn't like perfect in this scenario, but it should work. And if you have any problem, just ask in the comments, and I will hopefully try to explain or debug why it doesn't work for you in some cases. You can now make a game with a network, Unity's network system, combining with Steam, with Facepunch transport. So that's gonna be awesome, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you do, leave a like and subscribe. Also check the GitHub page if you want to have more information. I'm gonna do some redesign over here to be more helpful. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye everyone.